Homecoming is a special time for Doane, a time when we invite all Tigers to come home, to reconnect with old friends, to reminisce and maybe a few lies about the past, to celebrate the present. Our homecoming theme is Tigers Homecoming. But what does that truly mean? To us, no matter where life has taken us, what paths we've walked, the journeys you've embarked upon, Doane will always be your home. It's a place where we forged lasting friendships, where we honed our skills, where we discovered our passions, and where you laid your foundation for the future. It's a place where we left indelible marks on our lives. In return, that's easy for me to say, right? In return, you left your mark on this campus. Today, we honor not only alumni, but also individuals who have achieved remarkable success in their life's work, embodied the values and the spirit of Doane in everything they do. We build leaders at Doane, and we've been doing it for 153 years. Each one of you plays a pivotal part in the role in continuing the success of Doane. You are part of our community, and the values, that value, not only education has also built character, and the values of Doane's education are instilled in you. You are embodiment of Doane's spirit. We celebrate our dedication, your innovation, your unwavering commitment to making the world a better place. As we gather here today, we also reflect on the transformative power of education. Doane has always stood as a beacon of knowledge, a place where individuals of diverse backgrounds come together to learn, grow, and shape their futures. The impact of Doane education is profound, extending well beyond the classroom. It fosters resilience, creativity, and lifelong thirst for knowledge. It empowers individuals to make differences in their community and to lead with integrity and to inspire others. In this room, we have Tigers from all walks of life, representing countless professions and achievements, yet we are all united by our shared experience at Doane and the common values that define us. So as we celebrate this homecoming and honor our friends, let us also remember that we are bound by a common thread, the love and appreciation we have for a remarkable institution. Let us continue to support and uplift each other, just as we've been doing for some of you 50, 60 years. We have some celebrations going on this year. Thank you for being here, for being a part of this incredible weekend and community, and joining us in celebrating the enduring legacy of Doane. Welcome home, Tigers.
Shall we pray? For your goodness and your mercy toward us, we give you thanks, and we can feel your presence in this room through the lives and the hearts and the minds of those who are gathered. And so, O Great One, we ask simply this, that you would bless this food and bless the hands that prepared this food, and then give us a heart and mind to remember those who might not be able to have anything to eat. And then one last request, O God, is this: remove the calories and the cholesterols and anything else that might be troubling us to keep us from enjoying this fellowship. This is our prayer, we pray. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. You guys are so sweet. I just really want to thank everyone for being here today at this awards ceremony. It's really special to be able to have this many people in the room, as well as all of our award recipients. In case you didn't know, my name is Michelle Faltine, and I am the Director of Alumni Engagement here at Doane. This is my first time hosting this event, so I'm super excited to have everyone here. Oh, you're sweet. I do want to recognize a few people in the room today. We do have our class of 74 and 64 that we're celebrating, and anyone that is celebrating 50 or above, 50 years or above that you've been a Doane alum. If you would like to stand, if you're able, we'd love to celebrate you. I do also want to recognize one of our alumni council members. Doug Heller is here today. He's also announcing one of our awards today. We also have some Board of Trustee members that are here today. Jill Smith is here, Dick Held, Bill Powlett, Pat Beans, and then we also have a former board member, Chuck Shoemaker, that is with us. So I'd like to thank all of you for being here as well. And lastly, I do want to thank all of our leadership team members that are here today. President Roger Hughes is here. We do have Marty Fye, Louis Sotelo, and then we have Judy Kawamoto that are also on Roger's leadership team. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to have Danae Weirs come up, and she's going to do our first introduction.
Good afternoon. Thanks. My name is Dr. Danae Weirs, and my connection to Doane runs deep, with receiving my undergraduate degree in 1992, my master's degree in 1994, and in 2018, my doctoral degree in educational leadership. In addition, I worked as a faculty member teaching graduate and undergraduate courses at Doane College in the College of Education. From 1996 until 2022. During my time as a faculty member, I had the privilege of working with many outstanding educators, and the person receiving the Young Alumni Award is one of the top students I had the privilege to work with and teach. I'm here today to introduce the recipient of the Young Alumni Award. This award recognizes an individual who is 35 years of age or younger that demonstrates a lasting commitment to the highest ideals and models excellence exemplified by Doane University. I am honored to introduce Casey Dills as the 2024 Young Alumni Award recipient. Casey, would you please come forward? Casey is a remarkably deserving recipient of this award. His commitment and dedication to the education profession has had a lasting impact on his colleagues and students. I recall my first class with Casey. His creativity and ability to consider the learning needs of others demonstrated his skills as an outstanding educator. After graduating from Doane, Casey started his career with Lincoln Public Schools as a special education teacher at his alma mater, Lincoln Northeast High School. His next adventure in teaching began as a second grade teacher at Pershing Elementary. Casey's leadership skills at Pershing led to a position as a fifth grade team lead teacher. He is currently the building coordinator at Meadow Lane Elementary in Lincoln, Nebraska. A few highlights of the learning opportunities Casey has initiated during his brief, you can come up here, during his brief teaching career include the establishment of a school community garden supported through obtaining grant monies for outdoor education efforts. In addition, he established a school club that teaches elementary age boys how to be gentlemen. Those outside of the schools recognize his ability to develop learning opportunities for kids, leading to his service on the board of the Bright Lights, a summer learning program for children in Lincoln. These are a few examples of Casey's dedication to the field of education. Casey, it is my honor to present the Doane 2024 Young Alumni Award to you. Congratulations. You got this.
I want to first thank Dr. Danae Weirs for the introduction. I've been fortunate enough to call Dr. Weirs a professor, mentor, and friend. She's truly in the embodiment of relationship building and advocacy. To my family, I want to thank the endless support. Specifically, I want to thank my grandmother, who was my first best friend and has and continues to be one of my loudest cheerleaders. She's taught me what it means to serve others for the not for the satisfaction of glory, but because that is what is right. To my partner, Cordell, thank you for showing me what unconditional love is. I recognize some of my ideas come from left field, but I appreciate that you're always willing to be my sounding board when I need it most. To the selection committee and alumni office and President Hughes, I thank you for even considering my name. This is truly one of the highest honors to date. You see, I'm hardly a man of few words. However, getting the call notified me of the selection left me speechless. There are countless alumni that have graduated before me, with me, and after me who have shaped their communities, who have been advocates for their neighbors, who are leaders in their own right. So to be selected into this exclusive class of alum is an honor. Doane has taught me so much. You see, I have received 2 degrees from Doane and will graduate with a 3rd in May. Over the years, I have owed Doane so much. Besides student fees, I also owe Doane my sincere thanks and gratitude. Whenever I leave Doane, I feel more empowered and emboldened, knowing that not only do I belong in the room where the decisions are being made, but that I deserve a seat at the table. But Doane also taught me something that has become a core value, the idea of servant leadership. When you do finally get a seat at the table, you invite others to join. When you can get through the door of opportunity, you don't dare shut it behind you. You listen to understand, not to respond. Being a gatekeeper only harms a community and hardly ever protects it. I've spent my life's work living by the mentality and advocating for the students, families, and community of Northeast Lincoln. It is a community that supported me when growing up, so has brought nothing but pure joy giving back. My work is and might never be done, but I invite anyone to join me in the belief that tomorrow can and will be better if we are willing to invest in the work today. The work is hard and at times overwhelming, but the impact it has on the community is everlasting. So I challenge everyone here today to believe in hope, believe in change, and believe that tomorrow can bring more joy. I leave you with a quote that I have in my office, and I often reference it when I need some hope. It comes from one of our wisest poets of our time, Dolly Parton. If you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Danae and Casey. Next up, I'd like to bring Marty Fye up for our next award.
Had to chuckle the first time I got up here. What I wrote was smaller letters, and I forgot my glasses. So I got bigger letters this time. So hopefully this will go better. The Honor D Award is the highest award an athlete can receive at Doane. It's an honor, not only does it honor their athletic talent, but most importantly, it's their life's work. Craig Fleming, a distinguished entrepreneur and executive leader, hails from Atkinson, Nebraska, a close-knit community that fostered early athletic achievement and competitive spirit. A graduate of Westhold High School, Craig showcased his talent as a high jumper and clinched the gold medal in the Nebraska State Track and Field Championships in 1971. Kind of an interesting point, his track coach from that time is sitting right out here, come to join him to celebrate this for all those years ago. His athletic prowess led him to Doane College, where he excelled in track and field, contributing significantly to the team's success during his collegiate years. Following his graduation, Craig embarked on a remarkable career in direct sales. Just after graduation, he started a Kirby vacuum cleaner company. His entrepreneurial journey saw him establish a successful distributorship in Lincoln, and ultimately leading him to a corporate leadership role across various prestigious companies, including Fuller Brush, Melaleuca, and Melaleuca. Under his guidance, Melaleuca earned accolades as Inc. magazine's top 500 company. As a former CEO of Media Arts Group, Craig played a pivotal role in developing the largest art publishing business in the world, partnering with renowned artist Thomas Kincaid, the painter of light. Is that right? Yeah. Beyond his corporate achievements, he is committed to philanthropy, supporting numerous charities. He currently resides in Orlando, Florida with his wife Kelly and 3 children, Don, Aaron, and Evan, and he has 2 grandchildren. Craig continues to inspire others and is a founder and CEO of Direct Sales Experts. It is my honor to introduce my friend Craig Fleming to receive the Honor D Award.
So excited to be here. It's always fun to be back on campus. For me, it's been 47 years since I've been back on campus. So since, I guess, 1977, I just haven't had the opportunity to come back, so I'm so glad to be here. Dr. Hughes, thank you for this award, and members of the Alumni Committee. Great honor to receive this. And Marty, thanks for that introduction. Sometimes you get introduced and it's not so great, but what you said was so true and accurate. And the best part about it is my Uncle Dwayne Humphrey and his wife Damaris are here from Fremont, so they got to hear that. My brother Randy, who graduated in 1980, is here. My daughter Dawn and her husband Thomas are here. In the back of the room, Perry Kitchens was one of my high school teammates in all kinds of sports that we were at. He met his wife Jeannie, and she's here. And I was totally shocked that they came today, and more shocked that my old high school coach, Al Snyder from Axtell, Nebraska, and his wife Jan came. So I was totally shocked when I walked into the building to see them here. So 50 years I haven't seen him, so so glad that you came. Let me see a raise of hands of those people who have heard of Thomas Kincaid. How many heard of? Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. A lot of collectors. Thank you for collecting all those years. It helped, I'm sure, along the way, and I appreciate that. My time with Tom, I'm going to tell you 3 really quick stories because I only have 5 minutes, and I only have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to tell you 3 really quick stories about my time at Kincaid. The first time I got interviewed, I went out to San Jose, California, and I met with the co-owner of the company. And he brought me into his big office, big couch, and he said, "Sit down here, Craig, and I want you to close your eyes." And I thought, okay, well, it's California, maybe it's a little bit weird, but I'm going to sit on a couch and I'm going to listen to what he has to say. So he said, "Craig, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think back to your great-grandparents' home." I said, okay, well, for me, that would be my grandma and grandpa Murray. They lived out on a farm north and west of Atkinson. He said, okay, I want you to be up in their living room, and I want you to look around the wall and tell me what you see. And I said, okay, well, I had my eyes closed, of course, and I looked on the right-hand side. There was a small little picture of a woman. She had her hand folded in prayer. And I described that to him. And then I looked straight ahead, and there was a picture of a lone wolf on top of a hill overlooking a valley and a farmyard. And so I described that to him. He said, "Craig, when was the last time that you were in your great-grandparents' home?" I said, "Well, they probably passed away 35, maybe 40 years ago." He said, "Craig, that's the power of art." He said, "You haven't been there for 35 years, yet you can pick that out." Now, on your way home today, I want you to do that exercise. Don't do it while you're driving, but, close your eyes and think about, what do I see in my great-grandparents' home that's on the wall? Because it does have a very powerful effect. He said, "Craig, with Thomas Kincaid, we believe that the art that you have on your wall can make a dramatic difference in your life and in your children's life and probably in their grandchildren's life." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, subconsciously, every single day you walk past those paintings and you see them maybe 100 times in a week, maybe 1,000 times in a month, maybe 10,000 times in a year. I mean, forever and ever and ever, because you don't change your artwork very often, at least most people don't. I mean, literally thousands upon thousands of times you see that artwork, and we believe with Tom, we want uplifting art, we want it positive. Tom was a very religious person, so we always want to put in symbolisms. So we had churches and water and streams and birds and beautiful pictures. So anyway, when you get home, I'll just ask you, think about what you have on your wall, and is that the message that you want to send to your kids? So that's story number 1. Story number 2 is I went to interview with Thomas Kincaid. Well, he was a golfer. And luckily in Atkinson, I learned how to play golf on sand greens back then, and then ultimately grass greens. And he said, "I want you to meet me out here at this little place in Monterey, Carmel called Pebble Beach." I'm like, oh my gosh. I hadn't played golf for 15 years at that point. I'm going to really embarrass myself, and I'm trying to get a job. So we go out there, we're sitting, getting ready to get started, and I thought, well, I'll just ask the first question. I said, "Tom, what is it that you want with your artwork? What do you want to accomplish?" And he said, "Craig, it's really simple." He said, "I don't want my artwork in just high net worth individuals' homes, because then nobody gets to see it. What I want is I want my artwork everywhere. So if it's on a Bible cover, if it's on a print, if it's on a mug, if it's with Disney, I want everybody in the world to see my artwork and hear my messages." I said, "Okay." He said, The other thing is, there's over 40 walls in the average American home. If you get this job, your job will be to fill those walls with my artwork. I said, okay, I think I can do that. So we got to about the 6th hole, and I thought I'd ask him, he'd ask me a whole bunch of other questions, and I got in the 6th hole, and he said, I thought I'd better ask him a few more questions. And I said, Tom, what business are you in? He said, well, it's really simple. We're in the art publishing business. I said, okay. He said, see, I paint one painting a month. We take those prints, and then we make copies of those, and we sell them through our network of different galleries. I said, okay, I got to think about that a little bit. So by the time I got to about the 17th hole, I thought I better kind of close this up if I'm going to get any chance of getting a job at this organization. And so I said to Tom, he was driving the cart, crazy driver, by the way, and I said, Tom, I have an observation I want to share with you. He said, okay, go ahead. I said, I don't think you should be in the art publishing business. Well, he stopped the cart rather abruptly, and he looked over at me, and he said, tell me more. And that was the first thing I learned from Tom, is that he never argued with you. He never tried to convince you of something, but he was a great listener. And he was so curious, and he was the most creative person I've ever met in my life. And he would always say, tell me more. So opened up the door for me, and I just walked right in, and I said, well, here's what I don't see. On one hand, you don't have any alignment in your organization. So you've got artwork everywhere in the world, that's your vision, and then you're just an art publisher over here. I said, think about this. Tom, what if we went out and found thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs who were interested in owning their own business? And how about if we get into the Thomas Kincaid opportunity business? That's what business we get into. And we package all that up. We take your artwork, your story, your messages, and we package it up, and we open up galleries all over the world. And I said, and then each one of those gallery owners would recruit 5 to 7 art consultants. So in a very short period of time, we're going to have 35 or 40,000 people talking about your artwork, telling your story, your messages. Every single day, they're going to wake up and they're going to be talking about you. Well, think about it if that was you and I was telling you that story. Tom put his head down a little bit. He thought about it, and he looked up. He said, can you start tomorrow? And that's how I got the job at Thomas Kincaid. It was just that simple. I just told him a big story of what I thought he wanted to hear, and he bought it. And so I have so many other stories, and I'm not going to tell you anymore, but I have so many stories from Doan, things that I've learned here that I kind of transformed into my business career. And Dr. Hughes, you'll have to invite me back for some other time, and I'll tell all those stories to my grandkids, one of the two. Oh, and by the way, if you have a print in your home, just a little one, we call them inspirational prints, I like to tell my grandkids, my name's on the back of that, so if you have one of those, turn it over and look, my name's on the back. I like to tell them that I hang in hundreds, if not millions, of homes around the world. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Marty and Craig. Next up, I'd like to bring Don Drager and Deb McDonald up for the next award.
I'm not ad-libbing. If you haven't met our father, then you probably haven't been in a room with him for more than 30 minutes. He knows no stranger and usually introduces himself as, hello, I'm Fred Moshman from Ruskin, Nebraska. Dad's deep connection to Doan College is evident in his countless stories he can share. And share he will, even if you've heard the same story 100 times already. As a walking history book of Doan, he has witnessed this college evolutions firsthand, from its early days to the present. He takes great pride in being a Doan alumnus. As Dad prepares to be formally recognized for his contributions, it is a testament to his loyalty and deep-rooted connection to Doan. His story serves as an inspiration to all who have found a home within these walls.
I'm the short sister. It is my honor to join my sister in introducing our dad. While facing family hardships during and shortly after his time at Doan, Dad always felt the unconditional love and support from the Doan families and staff, which played a crucial role in shaping his journey. This supportive environment, grounded in Christian values, instilled in him a deep sense of pride and confidence in his education. These are sentiments he has carried into his own teaching and coaching careers. Throughout the years, our dad has shared his Doan experience with countless others. For my sister and I and a few of his grandkids, Dad's passion for Doan greatly impacted our college decisions, inspiring us to follow in his footsteps as Doan Tigers. We even had the privilege of sharing the same legendary track coach, Coach Biley, and we have some fun stories about Coach Biley. While we received an excellent education at Doan, what truly distinguishes Doan from other colleges is its strong family-oriented culture. The bonds formed here run deep, often spanning across generations. Through Dad's example and Mom's support, they have shown us the importance of community, faith, and the lasting impact that an education can have. As he stands before us today, I know Dad will do so with immense pride and a humble heart. Please join us in celebrating him as he receives the Honor D Award, a true testament to his enduring legacy and impact. He's not as fast as he was in the early 60s.
Well, as some of you know, I don't hear very well, so I'm still going to thank those ladies for that heartwarming introduction. Ah, yes, families are a blessing. A few acknowledgments I want to make. I thank my wife, daughters, and their families for their unending support. A gracious thank you to the committee that selected me for this award. I thank Doan University for giving me the tools I needed for life experiences. An appreciative thank you to Dr. Hughes and all Doan personnel for their part in this banquet and presentations. But most of all, I thank our living God, not for this award, but for the life opportunities He has given me. Now, I probably will read all of this talk, as my daughters told me, do not wing it. Now, I believe Natalie and Michelle said I was limited to 25 minutes or thereabout. Again, it's always great to have family support. My wife, Ardith, has been a great supporter for me throughout almost 60 years of marriage. Then there's the rest of the family, our 2 daughters, their spouses, 11 grandchildren, 3 of which have spouses, 3 great-grandchildren, with 2 on the way next month. We also had 2 sons who were both killed in separate car wrecks some 30 years ago. But yes, family support is wonderful. We have other families in our lives. There is our church family, past colleagues in education, we're a family, sport team families, my fraternity family. The list goes on and on. Then there is my Doan family. This is mentioned in my bio. The family I have experienced here was a very influential part of my life. Coming to Doan in the fall of 1960, some of you people don't even know what 1960 was. Approximately a little over 300 students were here, 125 in the freshman class. My senior year, we graduated 48. That included a few transfers. We experienced many things not heard of today. Wearing beanies for I don't know how many months. Paddles were used during Greek, or as we called it, Hell Week, for initiation into our fraternities. The cafeteria was located in the basement of Freeze Hall. On Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 o'clock, we were required to attend chapel and convocation. You could walk the sidewalks and greet fellow students as you knew everyone and they knew you. This is in contrast to today, when most people you meet are looking down at their electronic devices. It was a simpler time, one full of memories. You know everyone, or you knew everyone by name. Yes, it was a family atmosphere. I would like to especially acknowledge a few faculty members I was associated with at that time. There's Coach Al Pappy. He was my track coach for 4 years. He himself was definitely a gentleman in all aspects. Then there's Coach Fred Biley, who came my sophomore year, and he was head cross-country and assistant track coach. I was under the wings of Coach Biley, and I learned a lot of things under him during those years, one of which was your Aunt Sadie or Sally or Susie could run faster than any of us middle distance people. But Coach Biley was a very influential part of my life. I had definitely much respect for him. Coach Bob Erickson, he was a head basketball coach. He interacted with us non-basketball players probably in an unconventional way. Dr. Mildred Gross, head of the math department, was very patient and understanding with us math students. The Doane track team family was a very supportive and close-knit group of men. Teammates that we had some of them were Clint Skinner, Dean White, Tom Songster, my roommate Wally Hood, my brother Bruce, Peter Sura, Desi Eisenhagen, and there were several others who were instrumental in our team's successes. Recently, in the last few years, maybe 10 years ago or better, I have known other Doane family people. Cody Vance, Ed Fye, Marty Fye, Tracy Aldridge Fairbanks, Tom Hood, Dave Dunnigan, Jim Johnson, Chris Masters, and Brad Jenny. Oh, by the way, Chris Masters was my lab partner our freshman year in chemistry. He didn't really want to share the lab results. He had it all figured out before we did the experiment. But he later was a professor here at Doane in the math department. But anyway, these people have been regarded as family. Their dedication to this university has been remarkable, to say the least. It's because of these people and others, Doane is what it is, a family. I hope I have a little time to give you a short story about my introduction to Doane College track. When I came to Doane, I had no intention of participating in any sport. Late in my first semester of my freshman year, a few of the students were engaged in conversation, taking a brief break from our many hours of study time. One thing led to another, and when Dean White and Tom Songster, were track standouts, found out that I had track in high school, they encouraged me to work out with them. Well, we went to Butler Gym and ran inside around the indoor swimming pool. They must have relayed all this to Coach Papik. Before I knew it, I was with a team going to UNO for an indoor meet. This is like in February. Coach Papik asked me, what did you run in high school? I just rided the 440. Okay, we'll put you in the 440 today. I was setting my blocks in lane 2, and I took notice of an UNO trackster competitor in lane 1. I didn't have a clue who he was. However, I would soon find out. When I came out of my blocks with a reasonable start, I looked ahead of me, and there was the lane 1 man, 15 yards ahead of me. Well, needless to say, I trailed him the whole race, and I've got defeated by at least 25 yards. Now, that was my introduction to Doane track. I was moved to the 880 for the rest of my track days. I ran an occasional 440 relays. However, the 880 was my best event, with 157 being my best time. Now, who was that mystery runner? Rocket Roger Sayers, the older brother of Gail Sayers. Rocket Roger and our Clint Skinner battled it out in the summer, in the outdoor meets in the 100 and 220. One would win one time, one would win another time, but they could run 9.6s and 9.7s, which was phenomenal in that day. They definitely were too fast for me. Well, many stories to tell. However, it is time to close. I think my 25 minutes is up. So it is with great pride and much humility to graciously accept the Honor D Award. Thank you for your time and patience, and thank you, Doane family.
Thank you, Fred, Deb, and Don. Right now, we do have a little special presentation, and so Cody Vance is here to do that.
Fred, this is for you. This is a letter that I was asked to read. This letter is from Larry Andrews, and you'll enjoy it. And thank you, Don, for asking me to read this very special letter. And it's appropriate that everybody hears it because it is special. Fred Moshman is an excellent choice as this year's winner of the Honor D Award. He has always been a strong supporter of Doane. He graduated from Doane, as did his children, grandchildren, and many students that he mentored. Fred and I were classmates, fraternity brothers, and good friends over the years. Fred would often say he had to go home for the weekend to work on the family farm. After some of us met Ardith, we weren't so sure that that was the only reason he headed back to Ruskin every weekend. We stayed in touch over the years and hooked up for reunions, various sporting events at Doane, lunches in Hebron, and even a Chiefs game in the 1990s. Fred had me show his brother Bruce around the Doane campus one Saturday in the spring of 1961. Fred was unavailable as he was focused on running in the Doane night relays. I knew his parents as well as his three brothers. I went to the farm to hunt pheasants. His dad and Junior Farabee, another Doane graduate, came to a lot of sporting events in Crete. One time, Bob Erickson said that Fred's track scholarship was the best return that Doane ever invested. My point is that I know Fred pretty well. He was always a good alum of Doane, good student athlete at Doane, and someone I'm proud to call my friend. He was all these things, but even a better man. I believe that Fred got a lot out of Doane College, now Doane University, but I also believe that Doane got a lot out of Fred Moshman. And I'm going to add an editorial note, the same one that I shared yesterday at halftime of the football game. The Moshman family is Doane. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Next up, I'd like to invite Quentin Zeller up.
All right. My name is Quentin Zeller. I graduated from Doane in 2001 with my Bachelor of Arts in Music Education, and Doane University in 2017 with my Master of Arts in Educational Leadership. As a Doane student, the music department was my home away from home. I was a member of Collegiate Chorale, the Doane Band, the Jazz Ensemble, and the very first Symphonic Wind Ensemble. My love of music is the reason I'm still very involved in music education as the middle school orchestra director at Barr Middle School, as well as the athletic director. My experiences at Doane, both in my undergraduate and graduate programs, amplified my passion for teaching and helped me to embrace all the elements needed to be an educator. After 22 years of teaching and all my training here at Doane, I feel confident recognizing exemplary teachers. That's why I'm here today, to introduce the recipient of the Educator of the Year Award. This award recognizes an individual who has made an outstanding contribution in the field of education. The recipient is selected in conjunction with the Education Department. My sister, Erin Craven, is the 2024 Educator of the Year Award recipient. Erin, would you please come forward? The next part's what makes me nervous. Erin is the epitome of what it means to be an educator as well as a servant leader. She is one of the most selfless individuals you could ever meet. She continues to give of her time and talents both within her school and her community. As a teacher, she's always been an advocate for all students. I know this to be true because as a young teacher, I can remember calling her when she was at Wahoo and asking for advice on how to make accommodations for my own students. And because of her extensive knowledge in music, she was always willing to help. When she moved to Ord and saw that the band program needed support, she volunteered to play as a member of the pep band and make sure that students and the new director could be successful. This selflessness and dedication has only continued to grow as Erin has transitioned from teacher to administrator. As an educational leader, Erin is always discovering ways to support her staff and her students. From dressing in some crazy costumes to celebrate student success, to being the comfort a child or a teacher needs, the examples of her service in education are numerous. I think the greatest example, though, of her servant leadership mindset has been displayed this last year. in spite of being diagnosed with breast cancer. Erin has continued to serve her school and community with an exuberant and positive attitude. She did that day after day while facing an illness, an illness that has stopped people in their tracks. She's a warrior. Erin fought her cancer while making the effort to be in school every single day, even when our superintendent, principals, secretary told her to go home and rest. Not Erin. There was work to be done and students and teachers to support. So what did she do? She showed up. Her service to education is second to none, and I can't think of anyone more deserving of this award. Erin, it's my honor to present you the 2024 Educator of the Year Award.
Thanks, Quinn. Thank you so much for this incredible honor. Receiving this award is truly humbling. To be recognized by a university that has given me so much is an extraordinary privilege. What makes this even more humbling is joining the list of past recipients whose work has set a high standard for what it means to be an educator and a leader. Their dedication to shaping young lives and advancing education continues to inspire me, and it is an honor to be in their company. I want to start by thanking the Doane Education Department and my professors for providing me with the foundation that helped shape my career in education. It was here that I learned the true meaning of dedication, perseverance, and passion for learning, qualities I strive to instill in those around me every day. To the students whose paths I have crossed over the last 17 plus years, I thank them for keeping me motivated. Their curiosity, energy, and enthusiasm remind me every day why I chose this path. They are the heart of everything I do, and their growth and success are what drive my dedication. They push me to continue learning, adapting, and growing as an educator so I can provide them with every opportunity to reach their fullest potential. It is because of them that I strive to inspire the next generation, to help them believe in themselves, and give them the tools to shape their bright futures. Being an elementary school principal is a privilege. I have the opportunity to influence young minds at a critical time in their lives. I get to watch them achieve not only academically, but watch their personalities develop as the future of our world. I get to see them learning to be kind, working together, and believing in themselves. It is a responsibility I take seriously, and I owe much of my success to the amazing educators and mentors I have had the honor of working with throughout my career. This award is not just a reflection of my work, but of the collective effort of the educators and mentors who have shaped me. They remind me that leadership means lifting others up and always striving to make education a space where every child feels seen, heard, and valued. To my colleagues, both past and especially presently at Lakeview Community Schools, I thank you for your support, your collaboration, and your friendship. I am fortunate to work with and learn from some of the best. Finally, to my family, thank you for your love, your encouragement, and your patience. Your unwavering belief in me has given me the strength to pursue my passion with all of my heart. You've been my constant source of support through the late nights, the challenging days, and the moments of doubt. Without you, I wouldn't be standing here today. Your encouragement reminds me that I'm never alone in this journey, and your faith in me has given me the confidence to lead, to learn, and to give my best to the students and community I serve. This award belongs just as much to you as it does to me. I am forever grateful for your belief in me and for the role you play in everything I do. This award serves as a reminder of the responsibility we carry as educators, and I am deeply grateful to be a part of this legacy. We have the power to shape lives, to inspire, and to ignite the spark of curiosity that leads to lifelong learning. I am deeply honored to be recognized for my contributions and am more committed than ever to continuing making a difference in the lives of my students. Thank you again for this remarkable recognition. I am truly grateful.
Next up, I'd like to introduce Doug Heller for the next award.
Good afternoon. I'm Doug Heller, as previously mentioned. I graduated from Doane in 1985. I'm an alumni of Alpha Pi Epsilon fraternity, along with a few others here today, 2 here, and several here as well. And I most recently served Doane by completing my 2nd term on the Alumni Council. However, I'm here today to introduce the recipient of the Paul Kirstenbrock Humanitarian Award. This award recognizes Doane alums who, in the Alumni Council's judgment, distinguish themselves by extraordinary, unselfish dedication and service to others in their work and lifestyle. Gerald F. Burke is the 2024 Paul Kirstenbrock Humanitarian Award recipient. Jerry, will you please come forward? This story begins in the spring of 1982 when Jerry and a group of young men pledged to Alpha Pi Epsilon fraternity. We remember looking at one another that day as we turned in our pledge cards, wanting to make a connection that would last throughout our lives. A year later, in 1983, our fraternity welcomed among the pledges 2 that had been attending Doane and the Midwest Institute of International Studies, Juan Facendo and Renato Alcalde, who were both from Venezuela, and they quickly became our brothers. After earning his degree from Doane and then an advanced degree at another institution, Juan returned home to Venezuela where he taught, married, and started a family. However, as that country disintegrated around them, he soon reached out to his fraternity brothers for help. At first, Jerry and Mary Burke attempted to bring Juan's oldest daughter, Danella, to Omaha as an exchange student, but the Venezuelan government denied that request. When conditions further deteriorated, the family fled their home and making their way to Lima, Peru, where they lived for 4 years. In the fall of 2022, the U.S. government added Venezuelan refugees to the list of those eligible to be sponsored by American families, and the Facendo family made a request of their fraternity brother. Jerry and his wife Mary investigated, considered, and prayed over the possibilities. The Lord had always provided in the past, and He would see them through this experience as well. They filed stacks and stacks and stacks of government paperwork, prepared their home to absorb a family of 5, and reached out to friends, family, and fraternity brothers for shoulders to lean on. The Facendos arrived in February of 2023. That was a joyous day. The Burkes housed them, connected them to family and appointments, celebrated birthdays, and helped prepare them for next steps. In June of 2023, they received their authorization to work here in the United States. And in September of 2023, the family moved into their own multi-level apartment. So in honor of his willingness to help a brother in need and his ability to connect a community of donations to impact a family's future, it is my honor to present the 2024 Paul Kirstenbrock Humanitarian Award to Jerry Burke. Congratulations.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you to the Alumni Committee for putting all this together. You guys throw a really great party every year. It's true, my roots in being here today are bound up in these fraternity brothers. You met Doug, and let me also introduce Doug's wife, is Deb, here. Richard Auk is here with his wife, Christy. And so, too, is Juan Facendo. We all attended Doane back in the 80s, and Rich and Doug, sitting here today, they formed our alumni association for our fraternity. A cynic might say that we couldn't leave our glory days, but the truth is that this group grew to care about one another. We learned it from the guys that were older than us, and we tried to pass that along to those younger guys as well. This idea of caring for one another isn't always easy to do, but if we turn to Scripture, it helps. When I'm able, I spend my Saturday mornings at our church, our Band of Brothers Bible study. We have a great combination there: coffee, sugary pastry, and recently the book of James. And there's some great words there. In James chapter 2, it says, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes or daily food. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself is not accompanied by action. Faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Scripture passages like that can be daunting. I have found myself wondering, how? Lord, what deeds? What work would you have me do? So when Juan sent me an email, let's just say the timing was good. The Lord's timing is always perfect. After that email and some video calls and government forms and much prayer, we did our best to figure out the logistics. And the fraternity, of course, was involved. We created a GoFundMe page and initially asking for assistance with flight expense. If you're coming from Lima, Peru to Omaha, any guesses? It's expensive for 5 people. And the donations appeared. In all, 90 donations were made to our cause, and it's a little difficult to determine the exact number of people, actually. Many were anonymous. Several people donated multiple times. In all, more than $13,000 was raised. It wasn't just our fraternity brothers. Other friends from Doane, family, even high school classmates of ours who didn't know the Facendo family responded. One example is a high school friend of mine, a teacher in Kansas. And after her donation, I sent a note of thanks, and her response, I think, is emblematic of the heart of many people. She said, "Jerry, you did me a favor." She was happy to have a cause to support. Happy to have a contribution that would fill a need. In addition to the hefty travel expense, those GoFundMe dollars went to a lot of things: furniture, bicycle, cellular service, clothing, food, and the Facendo family was very grateful. When the Alumni Association first contacted me about this award, I initially declined to accept it. I felt extremely honored, but felt that it was truly a group effort. So when I learned I'd have this opportunity today to stand here and thank those who helped make the Facendo family's journey possible, I agreed it would be a good opportunity to do just that. So those of you here, I know there are many of you here who donated to that. Thank you. You made the journey possible. And finally, sorry, I'm going to get so choked up here. I want to take a moment to recognize my wife, Mary. My partner, love of my life for 33 years, she set aside her own agenda, her own comfort, welcomed strangers into her home. From the start, Mary and I prayed that when the Lord gave us a path He'd like us to take, we would do our best to walk that path. Sometimes it's very difficult to see where that path leads. There are times, there are corners you can't see around. There are scary bridges to cross. Sometimes you just pray and trust that He's got you, and He will take care of things. So thank you, God, for caring for us first, so that we may in turn care for others. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you, Doug and Jerry. Next up, I'd like to introduce Caden Smith.
My name is Caden Smith. I am a current student looking to graduate this coming May. We'll see. I am here to introduce the recipient of the Exceptional Service Award. This award recognizes an individual who has provided extraordinary service to forward the cause of Doane University through their volunteer efforts. Shailene Smith is the 2024 Exceptional Service Award recipient. Mom, will you come up here, please? Yeah, we're getting into some... We're getting into some reverse nepotism here is what's going on. So, the middle school that I attended regularly had trips to Matt Talbot, a soup kitchen in Lincoln. They would pick a group of students every few months to volunteer for a few hours cooking for people. I got picked one time. I made quite a fuss about how much I did not want to go. It sounded like the most boring day off from school possible for a scrawny little preteen dressed like a highlighter. My mom got wind of what a storm I made about it, and when I got home, she sat me down and she let me have it. You see, My mom grew up in Paxton, Nebraska, a town so few people have heard of that growing up I had to correct people that I did not, in fact, spend Thanksgiving with my grandparents in Pakistan. This little town, arguably a village, doesn't have all that much going on in it. With one singular gas station and a high school graduating class, you could probably fit rather comfortably into a U-Haul. They did have each other, though. From there, my mom managed to make her way to Doane, graduating in only 3 years, then graduating from UNL Law only a few years later. She made a name for herself, but she brought that small-town attitude with her and a strong sense of moral justice. So whenever she sees a need, she has a knack for putting together talented people like herself to fill that need. She and a group of other young women felt they weren't represented by the status quo of Doane's Greek life at the time, so they took the easiest, most logical next step and founded an entirely new organization to fill that gap. A sorority that is still going strong to this day, happy 35 years. They even have service as a pillar. She and a group of others felt like the arts in the Crete region were underrepresented, so, the easy, logical next step, they created an entire new organization to fight to keep them alive, because when the arts suffer, so do we. They're the thing that turns being alive into living. Part of that fight has been to resurrect the goddess, the Isis Theater. Originally built in 1926, it became a staple within the community, and for 9 decades it was a cornerstone of Crete's culture. My dad watched movies there as a kid, and so did I. Generations of people have cherished and experienced the magic of that small-town theater, but eventually it just became too expensive to keep up, and this little safe haven was thought to be lost. That was until that organization, BRAC, or Blue River Arts Council, spent years raising what amounts to a fortune in a small town and poured countless hours into rebuilding that theater. Shay poured her blood, sweat, and tears into making sure people got to experience that magic again. So, when I came home saying I didn't want to go to that soup kitchen and think about something other than myself for a while, she had an opinion on that, of course. To quote Muhammad Ali, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Through that discussion, we'll politely say, that and countless other things throughout my life, she instilled in me and my siblings a need to help others. Fast forward to now, and I have over 217 hours of community service just in my time at Doane. Most through the fire department, some through the food insecurity programs hosted by the Crete UCC Church, some through the fraternity she'd managed to convince me to check out. Trust me, that was a fight. Many of those, though, have been through working with her on the staggeringly impressive organization that is the BRAC, and many, many of the projects that they have accomplished. But I think, if I'm being honest, even in the hours I worked without her, she was still with me for every one of them. Somebody once told me, good job being born by her, and I, for one, could not agree more. Shailene, it is my honor to present the 2024 Exceptional Service Award to you.
That kid. My husband frequently says that half of life is just showing up. I have to agree. I am here, and I'm who I am today, because Doane folks have always shown up for me. It started with Ned McPartland, who showed up my first semester to take me to the ER when I was really sick, and stayed with me for 2 days because my parents couldn't get here in time. It continued when 14 crazy girls showed up with me to do this sorority thing. It showed up when my little brother came on campus to follow me, and when he agreed to sleep on our quad couch when somebody tried to break in our quad. It showed up when Alan Fireherm worked some magic and got me an internship for Congressman B. Ryder. Fred Brown and Dan Koonsman showed up for me when I applied for a law firm position here in Crete. And they said, oh yeah, you need to bring her back to town. They showed up for me when Pat and Eunice McCardle and Dave and Donna Jarina became surrogate parents. Doane showed up for me when Becky Hunky drove me to the hospital in labor. They show up for me every Wednesday when I'm having a bad day and Jen Lampella puts up with my golf game. They show up for me when Christy Chapek joined me in the fight for the Isis Theater. So much of the Doane community showing up is what's made that theater a reality. That donor wall is full of all of us in this room. Without everyone in the community and everyone from the college coming forward, that never would have happened. So I'm just doing the same thing for what others have done for me. I show up if they ask me to talk to the kids. I show up when students or faculty need some help. I show up when I need to stand in the gap to make sure that the Doan and Creek connection stays strong. I show up when my resources will help another student stay here in school. Everyone here is better because someone showed up for them. So I want to thank all of the teachers, alumni, sisters, students, interns, co-workers, and family who have shown up for me. And to Brennan, Reagan, and Caden, you are my why. Thank you, everyone, and I challenge everyone to show up for someone else every day.
For our final award, I'd like to have President Roger Hughes come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I have one quick introduction. My lovely wife, Laura, right there, you probably know her. If there's such a thing as a better half, she's a better three-quarter. She gets a little bit irritated at me, as Michelle alluded to, that there's a little running joke and frankly some side bets that every time, how soon will my lip quiver, or tears will fall, or I will break down. And I tried to explain to my wife that's just inbred, and today, here being at Doan to see all of you who experienced that kind of emotion, I will say to you, Laura, crier, 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 crier. Thank you very much. I am pleased to introduce Jill Smith, a proud Doan University alumna of the class of 1974. Jill grew up along 13th Street here in Crete, just across from campus. Her connection to Doan runs deep, and she has a family legacy that spans generation. Her parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and sisters attended Doan. During her time at Doan, Jill majored in history and was a leader in both academic and extracurricular activities. She earned a Fulbright scholarship to study in Germany after graduating summa cum laude. Jill pursued a distinguished legal career, which included 33 years as the general counsel of the Mayo Clinic. Throughout her life, Jill has remained dedicated to her alma mater, serving on Doan's Board of Trustees since 1997, and as its chair between 2015 and 2021. Today, we are honored to have her with us as a recipient of the prestigious Doan Builders Award, which recognizes her remarkable professional achievements and lifelong commitment to Doan. I asked some of her colleagues on the board to give me some words that could best describe Jill. Very bright, thoughtful, integrity, dependable, strategic. She's a leader were just a few of the words and phrases that were mentioned. And one board wanted to point out that when Jill's chairmanship had a difficult issue to pass up toward her latter part, she could have passed it on to the next chair, but she didn't. She dug in, found the problem, and worked to fix it. Would you please join me in welcoming Jill Smith to the podium?
Thank you all for coming. And before I start, I just want to, even though they can't hear us, I think we should thank the staff at Fresh Ideas, our food service, for the lunch that we had. So I'm deeply honored and grateful for this award, partly because a number of my family members who I really admire have gotten this award before me. My uncle David Osterhout, my cousins Paul and Joanna Osterhout, my uncle Alan Franta, and my cousin Martha Osterhout, and most importantly, our dad, Donald Jug Smith. He would be really proud. And Roger, I decided you got me up here because then you could really for sure have another crier. Important members of my family are here today celebrating with me. Oh no, he's crying now. My husband, Greg, my sisters, Jane and Susie, who went to Doan too, my daughter, Catherine K.C. Archibald, she didn't go to Doan, but it's okay because she went to St. Olaf in Minnesota, and that was close to home, and I could see her more often and watch her play soccer. But I have hope because of my granddaughter, Charlotte. Now, it's a little early for a college visit yet because she's only 3, but I figure I've got a lot of time to mold her, and next spring, she's going to have a little sister. So I may have somebody in the class of 2042 and 2046 if everything goes well. Also, thank you to my friends from the class of 1974 who are here as we celebrate our 50th class reunion. It's really been nice to see everybody. Doan has been a part of my life as long as I can remember. As Roger said, I grew up across the street in that little house next to where Marty Fye lives today. Some of my earliest memories were playing on the football field and actually riding horses in the pasture where Fura Fieldhouse is now. When it was time to think about college, I didn't really think about going anyplace else but Doan. Doan had a profound impact on me. Besides the great friends that I made at Doan, I learned a lot. I was a history major, and from Dr. Rossman, I learned critical thinking and how to take critical feedback. As Chuck Schumacher knows, we could get some critical feedback. Dr. Rossman hated split infinitives, and my papers would come back all red. But that critique helped me really hone my analytical skills as well as my writing skills, and that helped me be successful in law school and in my career. Now, when I told him I was going to be a lawyer, he kind of shook his head and said, you know, you don't have to be smart to be a lawyer, you just have to be tricky. But anyway, it was worthwhile. At Doan, I got to spend a semester in Copenhagen with my good friend Carolyn Kohlmeyer, and boy, was that a shock to a little girl from Nebraska to Copenhagen. It was a totally different world, but I lived with a wonderful family that showed me all over. I'm still in contact with them. My Danish mother came to Minnesota when Greg and I got married, and we've visited a lot since. I learned German from Dr. Erika Barton, which helped me get my Fulbright scholarship to Germany. And again there, I met another wonderful family. One of the grandchildren of the family I lived with came to stay with my husband then and me, and our daughter, Catherine Charlotta, is named after that Charlotta, and now my granddaughter is Charlotte. So Doan was wonderful when I was here. The other thing Doan did was they were here for my family when we had the worst tragedy of our life, when our sister Sally was killed by a drunk driver. The Omega sorority took care of my parents, and they have still honored Sally all of these years later. Sorry. I didn't know if I should say that because I knew I'd break into tears, but it was important. I'm sure all of you have similar stories about how important Doan has been in your life. As a member of the Board of Trustees, every time I come, I get to meet with students, and I listen to them. And I know how important Doan is to them. It's different professors and different buildings, but the same core spirit and family atmosphere is here today. The other thing I can tell you is that under Roger and his team's leadership, Doan is in really good hands. We are at a great opportunity point, and with our help, it's important for us to help financially, but I am confident Doan will be here for my granddaughters, and your kids, granddaughters, grandsons, great-grandsons and daughters for many years to come. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Well, in the program, it says I have a few closing remarks, and I will be brief. Please don't forget about the concert that starts at 3 o'clock. Jill, just so you know, I'm offering your granddaughter a scholarship, because the first offer you always remember, okay? You always remember. Please join me in congratulating the award-winning recipients one more time. It would be presidential malpractice if I didn't give you an opportunity to, and didn't share with you some of the things I get to see here every day. And it's reflected in the amount of power that has been generated in the world through Doan, through people like our recipients, winners today. They have made a difference in the world. More Doan in the world makes a better world. I have to give you a quick spoiler alert. If you hear something that I've said before, it's probably because I'm repeating myself. Because I will not compromise what I believe this institution can become. And together, we are going to build the institution that everyone wants to be like. And I'm not interested in number 2, and I'm not interested in number 3. I'm interested in being the best. To that end, I want to talk about some of the things that may have changed just in this last year. Laura and I moved into the new Presidential and Event Center. We've opened up a new state-of-the-art residential hall. We've remodeled the dining hall. And that's where I need to roll out the number 1 3-word phrase on this campus. We build leaders. But I also need to roll out a 5-word phrase that goes along with this. We're just getting started. For the first time in numerous years, our overall student population has increased. It's been 10 years since we have an overall increase. Our retention last year hit 78.9%, which is the highest in 20 years. Our first semester to second semester numbers last year was at 93.4%, again a 20-year high. We are making a difference here. In this class, we had 56 class members recommended by an alum. 55 came and matriculated. And when you do that, that adds $1.2 million to our bottom line. Some of you, when we talk about what you can do to help, and I think we need to do a better job here of defining your role as alums and friends of the school. Obviously, donations are great. But mentorships, internships, opportunities to recommend students. If you recommend a student that comes here for 4 years and stays, it's like a major gift. So keep those recommendations company because it makes a difference. Research shows that they don't read marketing, potential students do not read marketing materials. They will seek out who they feel is an expert and ask them their opinion. That's where you can come in. When I first gotten here, my background here to get to the presidency is a little different than most others. I was never a dean, I was never a provost. I was a football coach. And so believe on my first week on the job, I had to have dinner with the other college presidents in the state. Well, let's just say they were a little bit, maybe looking down their nose a little bit, as what's this guy doing here at our table? You know, but the cool thing was that when we were sat around and talking, I'm just trying to be quiet and not kind of screw it up and show everybody I don't really know what I'm doing yet, if that makes sense. One of the presidents said, "Hey, Roger, you're Doan, right?" And I said, "Maybe." What do you want? What do you want? He says, you need to know that I have a son running track at Doan. And I got to tell you right now, he's having an awesome experience. And of course, I start puffing up a little bit, and the guy from Concordia there's kind of looking at me like whatever, because he was new as well. He said, what that coaches and the instructors are doing for my son is amazing. And I'm not talking about in the classroom and on the track. I'm talking about the other things that they do. They're making him a man, whatever that meant to him. And then later he grabs me again. He goes, how do you do it? How do you do it? I said, do what? Every Doan alum I talk to loved their experience at Doan. We've tried to copy it. What's the secret sauce? And I said, I really don't know what the secret sauce is, but I do know this. The relationships between our faculty, our staff, our coaches, and our students just go deeper. My first week back, one of the professors was going through her phone to show me pictures. And she goes, oh yeah, this is such and such, and she's doing this, and this is her daughter, and I'm her godmother. That's who Doan is. That's who we want to become. Now, those of you in business know that there are certain times to invest in a business and times it's not so good. In other words, sometimes the timing of a gift or the timing of the resource is as crucial as the amount of the resource. And so that's what I need to make sure that you understand today. I need to introduce another three-word phrase: time to invest. It's time to invest in Doan and our students. Because the vision of our board, we are investing when other schools are tucking their wings and hiding. And they're talking about survival, and we're talking about becoming the institution everyone wants to be like. And so I would like to recognize, I know Michelle did earlier, but I would like the members of the Board of Trustees, as well as maybe just former members, please stand up and recognize for your vision of investing when others will not do it. Jill, Bill, Chuck, please. Pat. Now is the time to invest in Doan, because here are some of the game-changing projects we're working on right now. We launched, believe it or not, the silent phase of a campaign. And when I went out for the feasibility study, I never used the OLD word anymore. I said, people more mature than me said, I don't know if you can reach $100 million. But those our age and lower said, oh yeah, we'll hit it. So 16 months ago, we launched the silent phase of a $100 million campaign. And in 16 months, we're at $56 million. And we have a line of sight. Thanks, you know the deal, I get it. That's why I'm so enthused when I talk to Doan alums, they're ready to get on and invest. The board just approved the construction of a performing arts center, performing arts center, easy for me to say, and that we should begin construction on that just shortly. We're going to add a new theater as well as rebuild and refurbish some of the music halls. And on the drawing board right now, we know everybody heard the movie What About Bob? And our deal is What About Gaylord? What should we do with that? We need to do some things to upgrade that facility. So on the books, on the thinking module, we're talking about adding an academic innovation center that may include things like business engineering, mathematics, data analytics, and artificial intelligence. So we're looking to do those things going forward in the next years. That's exciting to me, because we're thinking like other universities aren't thinking. We're thinking about the next 150 years. And with your help, we'll be able to get there. No university can be great without an engaged and active alumni group. So when students will be calling, we have a thing called Tiger Talk. Our students may be calling you and asking advice. Not asking for anything, just advice, and how can we get better, and what would you do if you were in my spot, and what haven't I thought of as we're going forward. Last thing I want to say, and this has already been talked about when Shay talked about someone being there for the students. Many of you have become very successful. And I would argue the common thread that runs through that is a person from Doan or someone from Doan helped you along the way. They kicked you in the seat of the pants to get you moving when you needed it, or they may have come by, picked you up, helped you dust yourself off, and encouraged you to continue on for a better future. Our kids need that from you now. We need that investment in our students, because by doing that, you now become the mentor or that person that helped you going forward. And that keeps perpetuating itself going forward. And that's what Doan has always been. You hear the Doan family, you hear the Doan spirit, it absolutely is alive and well. As a member of the Doan community, we are committed to the spirit of building leaders by doing what's right, accepting our responsibility to make each other better, and this spirit will not be taken away. That's what it means to be a member of the Doan community, and that's why I need to talk about the second most important five-word phrase. Merrill will bring, go Tigers. Thank you very much.
I kind of want to act like I'm at my own church, but I know I'm at Doan, so here we go. I'm going to mess it up a little bit. But President Hughes, I just want to reaffirm that the shortest verse in the New Testament is what? Jesus wept. Okay, so we're all good, right? We're all good. And in my tradition, for the blessing, I would actually do a blessing for everybody. And if you would indulge me and go with me, I think I can, because that's what a benediction is all about. Because we may never have this time and space to see each other's face ever again. And so go with me as I share this benediction with you before the ringing of our alma mater. And now may the grace of God and the sweet communion of God's Holy Spirit, I want to come down. Bless you, 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 until we meet again.
Before Paige Pulte and Mark Hoyer come up here to sing our alma mater, I would like to remind everyone there are desserts in the corner, so feel free to take them. And then also just a reminder that we do have our concert following this at 3 o'clock. So Mark and Paige, it's you.
High above the spacious valley, glorious to view, stands our noble alma mater, towering toward the blue. Every student all together sings the glad refrain, till the breezes music laden echo back again. Hail to thee, our foster mother, noble friend so true. Ours are hearts that fondly love thee, sing thy praise anew. Lift the chorus ever onward, dear old varsity. With the watchwords honor, duty, don't we pledge to thee.
This does conclude our program, but thank you again to everyone that was here today. Those of you that received awards, congratulations. For those of you that did the introductions, I appreciate all of you. And once again, we do have the concert that is happening soon, so thanks again for everything today.